My numbers are atrocious right now. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Just another struggling writer. The beleaguered author's one-stop shop for commiseration and hopefully inspiration. My name is Carrie Scher, and I am just another struggling writer. And today is August 2nd, and we are doing our August Cozy Reset. In perfect transparency, I did consider doing a writing wrap-up instead of a cozy reset for this month because honestly, I did almost nothing except write in July. I was on deadline and I was very behind, and pretty much all of my energy was bent towards getting my draft done. But cozy resets are some of my favorite videos to make, and I just didn't want to wait another month. So this is going to be a little bit truncated in terms of like what I talk about, because most of it's going to be about writing, but fuck it, I wanted to do one anyway, so here we are. And I'm playing with the lighting for this video. I know in the past I've pulled my curtains open to get some natural light, but it just washes me out so bad, and I'm not smart enough to figure out how to make that not happen. So I've closed the curtains today. Let me know what you think compared to when they are open, because to me it is so dark in here. Also, as always, I am painting my nails. This is my color for the week. It's like a bubblegum sparkly pink, and it is called Princess's Rule. All right, so getting started with my reflections on July. So the month actually started off pretty slow for me. I really didn't get much of anything accomplished that first full week, pretty much. There was the holiday, of course, July 4th, but also I just was still kind of in the midst of shaking off some bad habits that have formed during my mental health slump. And of course, during that slump, I wasn't really doing much of anything, definitely not writing, not really doing any reading, not really being diligent about my calendar or planning my tasks. And I was still sort of feeling that lackadaisical feeling, wanting to just sort of spend my weekends loafing and not being productive. And that kind of lingered throughout June and into that first week of July. So it wasn't really until after the 6th that I really buckled down and started taking all of my obligations seriously again. Also in July, I did a little bit of traveling. I went to San Antonio for the All-State Choir Convention for my daughter, who participated. And that was a new experience for me. I'd never been. Despite living here most of my life. And we had a really good time. It was interesting because I don't travel very much, and it wasn't like a real vacation where, we could just do whatever we wanted. She, was attending rehearsals and all of that, but I got a ton of writing done. I feel like that was a really good writing weekend for me. I mean, by the numbers, it wasn't, but when you compare it to everything else I was also doing that weekend, walking her to and from rehearsal, taking her to lunch, then, doing a little bit of sightseeing in the evenings, I got way more done than I anticipated. So it ended up being a really fruitful trip, not just for me as a parent and as someone who's never been to that part of the state, but as a writer as well. I got a lot done, and I actually did some of my best work there. I feel like I discovered a lot about the draft and about the story and about myself as I'm writing it. So it was very fascinating to be in the middle of all that and figuring it out as I went. But unfortunately, after I got back from San Antonio, my ass just started to drag again. I don't know if I was just tired from the trip or just the blitz that I had been doing for the previous 2 weeks was catching up to me, since I am still kind of out of practice in terms of being consistent. But I really started to slow down in that third week, which made the last week going into the final push to finish the draft kind of difficult, which you guys will see in my upcoming vlog rounding out the Crunch Diaries series. So please look forward to it. And then just the last, couple of days of the month was all about finishing the draft. That was all I could think about. Yes, I was technically working, and yes, I, was coming home in the evenings. But really what I was thinking about was making sure this draft was done. And it ended up being one of the harder but most rewarding periods of my creative life, because I did it. Spoiler alert, I did it. And it is such a relief to have that off my plate. So that's kind of a quick recap of the month, just to go over what my goals were for July. They were all writing related. I wanted to spend 80 hours in the month writing, which was double what I wrote in June. And then I also needed to write at least 55,000 words to finish out the draft of Seekers of Empyrean before August 1st, which again was also more than double what I wrote in June. And then, of course, my last and big goal was to finish Seekers on time for the handover for my paid critique. I am pleased to say that I met 2 out of 3 of these goals and got really, really close on the third. That first one, writing for 80 hours, I didn't quite meet that one. I did end up writing for 67.6 hours. And I blame that third week where I was just having a really hard time getting myself motivated to sit down and work in the evenings for not meeting that goal. Like I said, in the end, it didn't end up mattering because I got what I needed to get done. As for my 55,000 word goal, smashed it. I ended up writing for the draft specifically 285,000. So really, really good. Definitely the biggest writing month I've ever had. Even when I was doing Nano, I would get to 50,000 and then go like it was never like I was pushing beyond the 50. And to be clear, this was a third draft. Not all of those words were brand new drafted. Some of them were copied in, but all of them were edited through. They all received an editing pass for clarity, just for flow, also some minor like line level stuff, crutch words and whatnot. So I'm very comfortable saying that is a reasonable number to claim for my writing. Now, here I would normally talk about books, but I didn't read a whole lot. I won't say any because on my trip to San Antonio, I did listen to the first 4.5 hours of The Floating World by Axio. It was about half of that book. So it wasn't a total loss for reading. That is something that will definitely be changing in the month going forward. And then just rounding out the stats for the channel, I made 8 videos and gained 11 subscribers. So welcome. Hope you enjoy your stay. I hate going from a dark color to a light color. I don't know why I did this to myself. That's it for the stats. Now let's get into my favorite part of the video, talking about my July favorites. Starting with my favorite book that I read. Again, not a lot to choose from, so it's got to be The Floating World by Axio. This is a YA fantasy that has a lot of Final Fantasy VII vibes in it, about a young woman who has always had this magic power that she has to keep hidden because it is actually forbidden and outlawed in the country where she lives, and if she is discovered, then she will be killed, most likely. That is one POV. And then our male POV is a former soldier who lost all of his memories about 2 years ago. And he is just trying to find his brother, which is like the only thing that he remembers. He knows he has a brother who is maybe still in the military, and he's just trying to reconnect with his past and find his brother. And the two of them meet by chance, and I don't know what happens after that. That's kind of where I left off. I really, really enjoy Axio's writing. I read The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea last year, and I thought it was just very, very nice. It was just a very pleasant, nice read, like a palate cleanser. And yeah, so I was really excited to pick this up, especially because, as I have said before, Final Fantasy VII is one of those pieces of media that was foundational to my being. I love it with all my heart and soul, and so anything that is coded Final Fantasy VII, I'm going to check out for sure. My favorite song for the month of July has to be, it's called I'm in a Hurry by Alabama. For some reason, that song just started coming into my head like 2 weeks ago, and it has basically been playing on a loop ever since. It's a little bit older if you haven't heard it. It feels like my type A personality anthem, talking about how I'm just constantly in a hurry to get things done, and I'm not really sure why I'm that way. But it has occupied more space in my head than I anticipated. Especially since I didn't hear it on the radio or anything. I just started one day, I was in my bathroom getting ready for work, and I just started singing it. And I was like, what is that song? And I looked it up and I was like, oh yeah, I remember this song. And then it's just been in my head ever since. Next up is my favorite candle, and I forgot to bring it in here, so let me go get it. So favorite candle of the month is this Alpine Forest. There we go. From Walmart. It is herbal cypress and red cedar. And it's very, very just earthy and nice very, very just pleasant and calming. Next up is my favorite purchase of July, and that has to be the Dark Wood Tarot set that I picked up for my next work in progress, Daughters of Necessity. I will link you to the video if you want to check out my full reveal of this tarot card, but essentially I like to use a different tarot deck for each project that I am writing, and this has been going back for many, many years. As I was wrapping up Seekers of Empyrean, I realized I needed to pick up a new one before I got started on Daughters, and I'm obsessed with it. Please go check out that video if you like tarot at all. Next up, my new favorite cozy hobby, and it's not new, but it is a return to cross-stitching. My grandmother taught me and my sisters how to cross-stitch like when we were very, very small. And it's just been a nice cozy hobby that I've picked up on and off over the years. When I was writing the first draft of Seekers, I found that if I ever felt like stuck in a scene, a good way to help me brainstorm without having to get up and go through my whole song and dance of what I normally do when I'm brainstorming is to pick up my cross stitching. And I think the reason for that is because it engages both my hands and my eyes. So I can't be distracted by something else like the TV or a video game. It's something that I can just pick up and put down whenever. It's very, very accessible in terms of like starting and stopping. And again, because I can't look or, manipulate anything else, but the motions are also very rote and mechanical, I can use that as just a way to keep myself moving and occupied while also thinking through the next step of what I needed to write. So there would be times where I would be in the middle of a scene and maybe having a little bit of trouble with it, maybe not really in a flow, and I needed to think of how I wanted to go, and I would just lay back in my recliner and do some stitches, and then I would suddenly have the next sentence. So I'm getting that back into that for sure. I really, really, really want to get this one project that I've been working on for months and months and months finally finished. My favorite video game of July is still Honkai Star Rail. I started playing this during my hiatus, probably in like March or April, and it has been, I wouldn't say an obsession, but it has been like my go-to relaxing video game that I can turn on and just do my dailies. Like it takes like 20 minutes and be done with it. But also, I don't know, it's very cozy. It's not cozy. Don't let me convince you that it's cozy, but it feels cozy to me. Just very, very relaxing. I don't have to think too hard about it. And it is something that I feel accomplished in, even after only putting like 20 minutes in. I feel like I've done something for the better of my account after 20 minutes. So it is cozy to me. Again, caveat, do not play that game if you are someone who is worried that you might spend too much money on it. I am fortunate that I did not get that personality, so I am able to play that without spending a dime. Next up, my favorite video that I made in July would be that tarot reveal I mentioned earlier. It was the first time I was ever doing something like that, really, really going in depth on a set of cards. But while I know that that's not really my niche, and therefore that's not really what most viewers of this channel are coming here for, I still had a really, really good time making it and getting excited for Daughters of Necessity, because just going through that deck, I got so many just ideas and things I want to incorporate now into the draft. So yeah, I'm really excited about getting to finally use it and actually getting into the planning stages of Daughters of Necessity. And then finally, my new favorite thing that I am doing, and that is actually utilizing my writing desk. Now, it hasn't been very consistent yet. I have had the excuse of just trying to make writing as comfortable and as welcoming as possible as I was crunching, because it was already like really, really stressful and hard. So I just wanted it to be as easy and relaxing for me as it could possibly be. I know writing isn't really relaxing for me. So I was still doing a lot of writing in my recliner, but just getting my new setup with my monitor and everything and my new computer stand and all of that really just made the space feel like a real working space. And as I get more into Daughters of Necessity and as I get more into this new content schedule, especially with the live streams coming up every other Friday, I do anticipate utilizing the space more and more and more and making this like my psychological workstation and literal workstation. But I mean like psychologically, like there is something to be said about designating a space specifically for working. So that way when you are like sat there, you automatically, your brain just automatically knows it's time to start getting into that mode, which is why like people don't recommend that you like sit in bed and work, because then you're conflating your relaxation space with your working space, and that might be why you're having a hard time going to sleep. I had to learn that the hard way, trust me. Yes, I'm very, very excited about this setup. My only disappointment is that this desk, I have outgrown this desk a little bit. It was working just fine when it was just my laptop, but I decided to get a big monitor, and it just can't quite accommodate everything on it at the moment. But that is what it is. I'm not planning on replacing the desk anytime soon, so I'm just going to make this space work for me. And that is everything for my favorites. Let me know in the comments what your new favorite thing of July was. But before we close out July, one last thing I would like to mention, what I'm leaving behind as I move into August, and that is crunch time. I am leaving behind crunch time, and as an extension of that, procrastination. That's right. In August, the name of the game is going to be just getting shit done when it needs to be done and not at the last second, because I really could have set myself up for a more even work spread if I had just sat down and been consistent in June. But I procrastinated, I lollygagged, and that left an enormous amount of work to be done in just July because of my August 1st deadline. And I don't ever want to do that again. My partner and I went out to dinner a couple weekends ago, and he wanted to hang out and do other stuff. And I was like, I can't, I don't have time. I have to get back to work. And I hated that. I had to turn him down and turn him away because of my bad decision making previously. And I'm holding on to that as I go into August, because I don't want to ever have to do that again. I want to be able to be consistent. I want to have consistent writing time where he is aware, yes, that is my writing time, but also still leave space where I can have leisure time because I was consistent with my writing time. Leaving behind crunch and leaving behind procrastination. So next we are going to take a little break. Something I have been meaning to do for the last 2 months really is really get this space tidied up. My windowsill here has become kind of a catch-all, and it's really feeling cluttered, and it's not really attractive to look at when I'm filming, even in the background, and it's just not comfortable. It just gives me anxiety to see all the time and be living nearby. So I'm going to take a little break. I'm going to do my best to get as much of this area tidied up as possible and make it feel more just a cozier, cleaner workspace. See you in a bit. Okay, y'all, that is July. Next up, we are going to look ahead to the new month and talk just a little bit about my goals for August. Firstly, I've got a couple of things that I'm really looking forward to in August. The first and foremost being, I'm really looking forward to taking a break from drafting. Yes, I know that I technically have not been drafting straight through for 2 years, especially when you take into consideration the many, many mental health hiatuses I have taken over the last 2 years. The truth is my creative brain has been pretty much all consumed by Secrets of Empyrean for the last 2 years. I started working on it seriously in May of 2024, and I have not taken a break to work on anything else since. It has been all Seekers for 2 years. And again, it's not the project necessarily that I'm looking forward to taking a break from, although I am kind of ready to take a break from it. It's specifically drafting. And yes, a large part of that is because I just did an enormous amount of drafting in July. But as you guys probably know by now, drafting is my least favorite part of the process. I am much, much, much better and more efficient and happier when I am editing. And so in that way, draft 3 was kind of a blend of both. I was drafting new stuff, but also editing existing work. And the editing was fueling me to do the drafting parts because I don't hate it. But it's definitely not my favorite part of the process. And so I'm so grateful that I was able to finally finish draft 3. But the reason I'm grateful is because I don't want to be working in a draft right now. I want to get back to a space where I can just brainstorm and daydream and really have no limitations on my creativity in the way that, you have to kind of be when you're drafting. So definitely looking forward to taking a step back from that part of the writing process. In a similar vein, I am really looking forward to getting into a new project. I have been anticipating this for at least the last couple of weeks, but really I picked out Daughters of Necessity as my next project last year and was prepared to really be brainstorming it in the creases of writing Seekers if time ever permitted, which of course it never did because of procrastination. But all that aside, I'm really, really looking forward to just thinking about a completely new story, a completely different feeling, and a completely new world. Daughters is going to be so different from what Seekers is. Seekers is an urban fantasy, whereas Daughters is like a adventure fantasy in a secondary world. And I just have so many good ideas. And I'm just, my creative, farm right now is feeling really, really depleted on the Seeker side, but really, really fertile and ready to sprout new things over here with Daughters. So I'm really eager to start harvesting that and getting into something completely different from Seekers. That being said, with regards to Seekers, I am also looking forward to getting feedback on it for the very first time. I, again, have been working on this book for 2 years, and I have gotten to the point with this draft where I can no longer tell if it's good or not. I can no longer see the forest for the trees. And so one of the things I'm most looking forward to is hearing some feedback on it, hearing whether or not it's a good idea. I mean, obviously, if I get feedback that it's terrible, I will be upset, but then at least I'll know to put it in the trunk and not spend more time on it. Obviously, I hope I get feedback that it's incredible and just needs a little bit more TLC to get to a place where I can start querying. But I think either way, just finally getting some sort of outside opinion, even if it's bad, even if the people critiquing the book come back and tell me the book was good, but I hate your author voice. I don't care. I just need to hear something. I need someone to tell me something about my writing. I don't care if it's good or bad at this point, because again, I'm just way too close to it right now. So yeah, definitely looking forward to some feedback. Again, I am still looking. I think I would like 1 or 2 more beta readers. If you are interested in beta reading Seekers of Empyrean, it is complete and ready to go out. Please let me know in the comments. I am, again, really, really looking forward to hearing what other people have to say about the book. Oh, but also, if you are a fellow writer and would like to be a critique partner, also let me know, because I don't want to just be sending my book out to people without giving back. If you are a fellow writer and have work for me that you would like me to see, I'm also open to that. A non-writing related thing I am looking forward to this month is the kids going back to school. I love my children. I truly do. Being a parent, being their parent specifically is one of the greatest joys of my life. But oh my God, they have got to go back to school. My daughter, my middle child especially, is the kind, she's like me, she's type A, she needs to be busy. And so over the summer, when she has not had that much to do, it's just been a struggle. But also they're eating me out of house and home, y'all. I've got a 15-year-old, an almost 14-year-old, and an 11-year-old. And I'm ready to see my grocery bill kind of creep down as they get back into school. All right, so my nails are done. You can't really see that well, but I love them. And then finally, the last thing I am looking forward to in August is reading and making book-related content again. I kind of made a spur-of-the-moment decision 2 weeks ago that was something I was going to do after I was done with Seekers. I took a step back from talking about books. If you guys don't know, I have a reading related channel that I separated from this channel a while back, but I took a step back from making content for it about a year ago so I could focus on Seekers. I just felt at the time that trying to balance both meant that I wasn't giving the book my full attention or my full effort. Of course, we have learned since then that it may not have been reading after all. It may have just been my mental health. In either case, I made a snap decision to go ahead and restart making content for my reading channel, which by the way is Read read, share, repeat. You can find the link to that below if you are interested in my thoughts on books. My first video will be going up tomorrow, and it is my August TBR. So again, I'm really looking forward to kind of getting back into that headspace of thinking about books critically, because I think it just makes me better as a writer, but also I just like reading as a hobby. So, and as we learned from this channel, the content really does feed the hobby. It nourishes it. So again, if you're interested in my thoughts on books at all, I recommend you checking that out. New videos starting tomorrow. And with that, there is nothing left to talk about except my goals for August. Something you guys may not know about me, I've mentioned it a couple times, but 9 is my favorite number. I consider it an arc number, and whenever I can fit something into a group of 9, I just feel it scratches an itch in my brain. So I have 9 goals that I have broken out into 4 categories for August. The categories are writing, my creative well, content, and then of course just life stuff. So starting with my writing goals. Because I am not drafting anything new, I don't have anything concrete really for writing, but something I would like to have done by the end of the month is have all the world building for Daughters of Necessity be done. I'll be honest, I'm a little bit nervous about that goal just because I spent a lot of time doing the world building on Seekers, and Seekers is a like modern real world urban fantasy. So I didn't have to do any of like the actual like crafting of the world. I just needed to like create a secret government agency and a magic system. Daughters, however, is a secondary world and everything is new. I do have some ideas, but I just need to really think through all of that. So asking me to get all of that done in 1 month might be a tall order. But again, I'm coming off a period where I wrote almost 60,000 words in a month. So I don't know. I just feel like I'll have a lot of energy to put into this project in a way that is not so creatively draining like drafting is for me. That is my first big goal. And then my second goal is more concrete, and that is I would like to write for 15 hours a week. Again, what that looks like might not be what it looks like while I'm in a drafting phase, but I would like to be sitting here at my desk or at my desk at work, less at work, obviously, because I can only use my lunch break, but 15 hours in my dedicated writing space, in a dedicated like writing mode. Those are my 2 big writing goals. As for my creative well, in months and years past, I would just call this reading. But during my hiatus, I rediscovered a love of other media and reminded myself that those hobbies can refill my creative well as well. And so going forward, now that I am out of that horrible crunch, I want to be more intentional about diversifying the media I am consuming. So it's not just books all the time, which can make reading feel more like a chore than something I'm truly enjoying. So to that end, I do want to read 4 complete books in the month of August. I think that is a very reasonable goal considering everything else that I have going on, making content, writing, having a family, and all of that. So that's one goal. My next goal is to finally finish watching Revolutionary Girl Utena. I talked a little bit about it in my June comeback video, but something I was doing a lot over my hiatus was watching anime. I was in the middle of Revolutionary Girl Utena when I started to come back. And as I have been focusing more and more and more on writing, as it has been consuming more of my time and energy, I just sort of trailed off. I really don't have that much more to go. I think only like 12 or 13 episodes. So this shouldn't be that difficult a task, even just like 1 episode a weeknight, and I can finish this pretty easily. So that's another goal. And then finally, play 1 video game, like to completion, like a narrative video game from start to finish. This might sound crazy because sometimes that like the stories could be like 60 or 80 hours. I'm specifically thinking of one of the early Final Fantasy games because during my hiatus, I replayed Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth, and then that kind of led me into playing through like Final Fantasy in general, and I ended up buying like the pixel remasters of Final Fantasies 1 through 6 and finished Final Fantasy 1. And I was about 25% of the way through Final Fantasy 2 when I decided to, I think I just lost interest really. And then I started playing Honkai Star Rail, which is an ongoing live service game, obviously, so that's something I can't complete. So again, I would like to like actually sit down and finish one complete narrative video game per month, at least this month, while I'm not drafting. I think that's a pretty good idea. So probably Final Fantasy 2 will be that, but I also really want to play Mass Effect. I haven't played Mass Effect in so long. It's another one of my favorite video game series. I used to play it like every single year, and it's been so long that I've actually sat down and focused on it. So maybe Mass Effect 1 is in the cards as well, but I really also just want to be doing new things. Anyway, I haven't decided what video game will fill this criteria. I just know I want to complete one narrative video game this month. Okay, and then for my content, my first goal, I feel like I say this a lot, I just want to grow my channel by like 5%, which would only be like 25 followers. I think that's a pretty reasonable goal for a channel of my size. But with that being said, it's not something that's entirely within my control, especially since I really do feel like I have been hurt by the algorithm because of my inconsistency. My numbers are atrocious right now, which really truly does not matter to me. I make the content because it's fun and because I have found some people to connect with, but it is like a little weird to see like my numbers from the beginning of the year when I was like really in a groove right before I stopped, and then now where I again feel like I'm in a groove, but I haven't gotten back into the good side of the algorithm yet. But anyway, like I said, 5% growth I feel like is both doable and reasonable for something I can control. And my next goal is I would like to live stream twice. You guys may or may not know, but my history with live streaming is a little shaky. I did try live streaming once and I got super, super, super nervous and like, I wouldn't say disappointed because I wasn't really expecting anything, but I froze when I realized that I wouldn't have anyone to talk to, but I would still have to fill that dead air with just talking to myself. And I even talked to my partner about it. And he was like, yeah, even like video game streamers know that you just have to be comfortable just talking into the void and not expecting a response. And so I've gotten a little bit more comfortable with that idea. And the last live stream that I did have someone come, hi Donna, who is now a writing buddy. So I do think that regardless of whether or not people actually come, it is a way to force myself to be productive and creative at a time of the week when I am usually not, and that is Friday nights. Friday nights have been a real struggle for me in the past to come home and make myself work and be consistent. It's always been a black hole in my writing schedule, and I'm hoping that by introducing live streams on Friday nights that I can kind of patch that up a little bit. And then finally, for content goals, I would just like to stick to a consistent posting schedule across all my social media platforms. And this is part of my 5-year plan to become a full-time author and content creator. Now, I have always said that the content is a bonus. Writing is truly what I want to be my full-time gig. But that being said, the content does nourish me creatively. It does fuel my writing and all of the other hobbies I associate with it. And I am a perennial planner and anxiety girly, so I like having a schedule. It just makes me feel secure and like I know what I'm doing. And so I would really like to apply that to my social media, like content stuff as well. That being said, I have been trying over the last couple of weeks to really think through how much I want to give and how much work I want to do. And I think I've come to the conclusion that some content posting schedules I have attempted in the past failed because it was a lot of work for things I wasn't really feeling fulfilled by. And early on, I was planning on doing that again, and I have just come to the realization that I don't need to do everything. I can just do the things that I actually like. So I talked about in my 3-year anniversary video that I want to post shorts, and I am already rethinking that because I just don't care that much about shorts. I like making short content for books because those are like bite-sized things that I can quickly go through, like book reviews. In fact, I think I prefer doing short book reviews to long ones. In terms of like writing stuff, I'm not a skits person. I'm not a funny like short video creative person. Any shorts that I had planned would just be really, really niche and focused on like my writing practice. And I feel like I could do that better with the long form anyway. So that being said, yes, I do want to have a consistent posting schedule, but I am already kind of questioning how much of myself to invest in it, because if I am investing all of my time and energy to it and I'm not getting anything back, that is when I'm going to get burned out. And I want to avoid as much burnout as I can. My plan for right now is to just continue posting 2 videos a week here on my writing channel. And then I have decided to only be posting 1 video a week over on my reading channel. That way I'm not feeling pressured to be vlogging constantly, but also I can just sort of ease my way back into the writing or to the reading content without overwhelming my time schedule. I'm also going to try and be a little bit more active over on Instagram. You may have noticed that I've been posting a lot more on stories. I'm not a visually creative person, as you guys know, so Instagram has never really been my bag, but that feels the most approachable to me in terms of what I would like to try consistently doing. But again, that's really just for fun and not really for content as much. I may try approaching shorts again later on if I feel that urge again. And I also may explore Substack again, but for right now, I think I'm just going to stick to this channel and my reading channel as my prime content locations. That's that. And then finally, I mentioned this a little bit, but my big life goal for July is to just reinvest my energy in my 5-year plan. I will link my 5-year plan video in the cards above and below in the description if you want to check it out. But essentially last year, I came to this conclusion that I am ready to stop living in the short term and start really thinking about my long-term future and my long-term goals and vision for my creative life. To that end, I made a 5-year plan, sort of, to become a full-time writer and content creator within 5 years. And of course, the first year has not gone as well as I had hoped, having already taken a third of it off from creative endeavors. To that end, I think it is really important to look back at that 5-year plan and think about the habits and goals that I wanted to implement to set myself up for success with the 5-year plan. One of those, of course, is writing consistently, employing a specific writing space, and exploring other forms of writing, such as short fiction. So that is all on the writing side. And then for the content side, just again, being really consistent and really, consistent, just making videos that I both enjoy making and that I know my audience cares about. So that is something that I will just be putting a lot more thought into in August. Again, maybe taking a look at that content posting schedule and assessing my level of energy and my level of fulfillment from each part of it. So that's basically it. I just want to get back into thinking about my 5-year plan as a very concrete, almost like a deadline. That is when I want to be able to quit my job and become a full-time creative person. In the past, I would do a TBR here at the end of the video as well, but because of the revival of my reading channel, I highly recommend you scoot on over there and subscribe, because the TBR will be coming out tomorrow. And just a little teaser, I've got a really, really fascinating TBR this month. Instead of picking specific books that I wanted to read or out of different categories as I had done in the past, I chose 5 books completely at random from my TBR Mimic. So again, definitely recommend you checking out my reading channel, because that video will be going up tomorrow. And that is everything for this cozy reset. I have been talking for almost an hour. I can't believe it, but I do truly, these are some of my favorite videos to make. So thank you so much for watching. I so appreciate it. If you like my content and want to support the channel, please like and subscribe, or consider leaving a comment down below. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, leave me a celebratory emoji of your choice for finally finishing Seekers of Empyrean and getting it into the hands of my critique partners, because there were times, I would say the majority of time over the course of the last month, that I was really questioning whether or not that was going to be possible. So I texted everyone I knew, I finished my book, even people who don't really know or care that I write. So I'm still feeling a high from getting all of that complete and out the door. So in my next video, you will get to see the conclusion of the July Crunch Diaries and how I managed to wrap everything up with the end of draft 3 of Seekers. So if you've been following along on that journey, that will be coming to you next. I hope you look forward to it, and I will see you then. Bye.